Hello and welcome to Your Stocks in the Mumbai News Studio. I'm Ekta Batra. Well, it's turning out to be a session where we are seeing some amount of green and a good recovery on our hands. So we have the Bank Nifty, which is really leading from the front this afternoon. It's up around 0.6%. We have an advanced decline ratio, which has turned positive as we speak as well. So the advanced decline stands at around 2,100 stocks advancing to around 2,099 stocks declining at this point in time on the Bombay Stock Exchange. So that's the key positive in today's trading session. The advanced decline ratio turning for the positive. The mid-cap index is up around 0.3%, and the Bank Nifty is really leading from the front. So shrugging away all of the concerns with regards to the Hindenburg report or even the global volatility that we've seen. But joining us today, we have Astha Jain, research analyst at HEM Securities, and Ruchit Jain of 5paisa.com to answer all of your stock queries. Ruchit as well as Astha, welcome to the show. Well, Ruchit, over to you first. A technical check on the markets. It's a good turnaround that we've seen. Would that make you confident on going long?
Yeah, hi, very good afternoon. Well, I think this is certainly a pullback move which could extend towards 51 to 61.8% retracement level, which is placed around 24,600. So the broader markets have been doing well, which is a good sign. So I think 24,200 is now where the short-term support base has shifted. So if the market keeps that 24,200 level intact, then I think we could see a move towards 24,600 to 24,700 range. So yes, from a short-term trading perspective, we are looking for opportunities which could outperform maybe certain names from the banking, metals, certain sectors where post the recent correction, the risk-reward ratio has become a bit favorable. So led by sectors such as banking and metals, I think we could see the markets extending the gains further towards 24,600.
Okay, all right, 24,600. But what about the Bank Nifty? Any particular targets there and any specific stocks that you would recommend within that space?
Space, we have seen that there has been a relative underperformance in the recent past, but I think the momentum readings are a bit oversold, and what we have seen today that the private sector large cap names are leading this pullback move. There are no signs of participation from the PSU names as of now. So I think if one has to create fresh longs, then one will stick with the private sector banks. Stocks such as HDFC Bank is there, ICICI Bank is trading around its support. And when in the mid-size segment, Federal Bank charts are looking quite positive. So would stick with some of the private sector names over PSUs for the near term.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get in some queries. And before that, we have the Natco Pharma numbers on your screen. Remember that they are benefiting from Revlimid generic. So that net profit is up around 59% on a year-on-year basis. We have the revenue, which is up around 20-odd%, and operationally, they've done very well. That's Natco for you. EBITDA up around 50-odd% on a year-on-year basis. So that stock zooming away up around 6-odd%. They've probably done the best when it comes to a contribution from Revlimid generic as compared to any of the peers within the pharmaceutical space. And as you can see, that's reflecting on the stock. A quick word, Astha, do you look at Natco?
Hi, good afternoon. Prima facie, the results looks to be good, but in detail, we really need to check the results. Meanwhile, we already have a recommendation on it, which is a hold. So right now, looking after the results also, we are continuing with the recommendation, although we really need to see the results in detail.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get to our first query then. We have Venugopal Reddy, who writes to us from Hyderabad. He wants to know whether he can buy 1,000 shares of Union Bank of India or if he should look at any other stock within the banking sector. So he's asking for a fresh investment advice. Well, let's go over to you, Astha, on this one. Would you recommend Union Bank fundamentally, or would it be any other stock?
So talking about this bank, they have almost met their guidance because they have posted the deposit growth of around 8.5%, although at the lower end of the guidance because they have guided for 9% to 11% deposit growth. So they have maintained their guidance and they have met their guidance, but the guidance of deposit growth at the lower end as well as advances growth of around 11.5%, that was also at the lower end. So I think some fall can be expected from this counter. So we are not recommending this counter to be a good buy at the current prices. Maybe this counter can see further fall. So one can buy on dips for this counter. Right now, we are advising to just wait for more dip to come.
Okay, all right. And technically, what would you recommend on this one? Ruchit, the stock has not done much in the past 3 odd months.
Yes, so Ekta, this has been a relative underperformance if you compare the stock within the other banking with the other banking stocks as well. So I think technically also there is no signs of any kind of reversal getting in the short to medium term. And if we look at the PSU banking space, I think if you are looking to go long or do some fresh buying within the PSU banks, then better to prefer large cap names such as SBI, where the leadership would come whenever the entire basket turns positive. And if you're looking something from a mid-sized banking space, then I think rather than going with PSUs, go with private sector lenders such as Federal Bank. So SBI within the PSU space and Federal Bank within the mid-cap private sector space, I think within the banking space, that looks much better than Union Bank.
Okay, all right. Well, you would choose Federal Bank then. Well, we do have Karthik Kumar, who writes to us from Hyderabad, holds 25 shares of Ashok Leyland, which he's bought at 178. He wants to know what to do, whether he should hold or sell this particular counter. He's sitting on a good profit at this point in time. Ruchit, over to you on this one first. What would you recommend on this particular counter? Do you think Ashok Leyland has done well technically? Is it time to take some profits? What's the further technical upside?
Well, it has certainly done well from his buying price, but still I think the upside is not done yet because the structure is quite bullish. A high top, high bottom structure is clearly seen in the stock. And what one can notice that when the price stock is going up, it has been supported by good volumes, whereas on any intermediate corrections, we have not seen any high volume based selling. So I think this momentum could continue on the higher side. 280, 290 should be expected in short to medium term. So my recommendation would be to hold on to the stock, expect further gains from year levels. Maybe if it comes around 280, 290 range, they can again take a review on this.
Okay, so 280 to 290. Well, what about you, Astha? What would your recommendation be on Ashok Leyland?
We are recommending hold on this counter with the immediate price target of around 280 to 285. Now, talking about this counter, we have seen that the company has taken some price hike, as well as at the same time, there was the softening of the commodity prices also. So that really helped the company in showing a strong performance. Going ahead also, management is expecting H2 FY25 to be a stronger one on the back of the demand in the infra sector. So I think going ahead, if we talk about 6 months down the line, this counter is looking good. Immediately, one can attribute the price target of 285 and recommending a hold on this counter.
Okay, so you're recommending a hold on this particular counter. The stock is up around 10% just in the past odd month. Rahul Subramaniam now writes to us from Chennai, holds 1,000 shares of Ola Electric. After listing, he's bought it around 80 odd rupees. He wants to know whether to book profits or to hold on to more gains. Well, Ruchit, I definitely can't ask you about Ola Electric. It's only been 2 days of trading. But what about you, Astha? Do you think Ola Electric would probably be a stock which you would hold on to? What are you recommending to your retail clients when it comes to Ola Electric?
So we have came out with the IPO report. In fact, I have made the IPO report and I have given the subscribe recommendation. In fact, I was expecting some sort of listing gain also. There were some points which were very positive about the company. First of all, as they have a strong market share, we all know that. In fact, now the major problem of the company was the loss making in nature, and that is what was not liking by majority of the analysts when the IPO came. But what we find in this company is that going ahead, maybe 2 years down the line, the company will turn profitable on the back of the strong launches which the company is planning to go with. In fact, the Generation 3 platform launch will also help the company in reducing the cost. And FAME 3 policy incentive will be a key to look for all the electric vehicle companies, two-wheeler electric vehicle companies. So on the basis of all these points, we were positive about the company. In fact, they have reduced the price also at the time of the IPO. So we were positive on this counter. But now looking after such a huge run-up, now this counter is trading at price to sales multiple of more than 8, which is far higher than it global peers, because in India, we don't have pure EV player in the listed space. So now at the price to sales multiple of more than 8, this stock is richly valued. So we are recommending to book partial profit, although the results are lined up. They are awaiting some of the launches on 15th August also. But I think just on the basis of the valuations, on the safer side, we are recommending to book partial profit and remain holding the partial stock.
Okay, all right. That's on Ola Electric. But, amongst the newer listings, the newer age companies, Ruchit, would you have a view on any company which looks good technically?
I think if you look at the entire segment amongst the new listed companies, then I think Nykaa is one stock which technically is looking quite positive. The stock has went through some decent price-wise corrective phase as well as time-wise corrective phase in last few months. And if you look at price volume action in last 15-20 days, then the stock has given a breakout from a symmetrical triangle pattern, which is technically technically bullish, and also that has been supported by high volume. So I think the risk-reward ratio is quite favorable over there. So if one has to switch to some other stock or make some fresh buying within the newish tech space, then I think Nykaa is a good buy at current levels. One can go along with stop loss below 175 and expect upside targets around 230.
Okay, all right. Well, we now have Kimaya Shah, who writes to us from Gujarat, holds 50 shares of SAIL, which is bought at 151, wants to know what to do, whether to hold or sell this particular counter. So sitting on a bit of a loss there. 50 shares is what Kimaya has bought. Well, Ruchit, let's come to you on SAIL. Technically, do you think that it could probably just get to the buy price and one can probably, take a call then?
I think yes, exactly. These are not the prices where one should look to book losses in stocks such as SAIL. No, because if you look at last 3 or 4 months, the stock has traded within a broad range of 125 to 160. And now the prices are quite close to the lower end of that range. So these are not the levels where loss booking should be done. Hold on for some more time, have some patience. I think the stock should bounce back towards levels of 150, 155, where again a review should be taken.
Okay. And SAIL fundamentally, Astha?
So talking about this counter, although we have seen some sort of increase in their EBITDA, maybe due to the decrease in the raw material cost, especially this coking coal. But what is major concern about the company is their capex plan and the increase in the gross debt. So I mean, due to these concerns, maybe the streets are very much cautious about the future outlook of the company, and that is why I think she needs to wait for some more time, maybe 3 to 6 months down the line. However, our initial target is also same at the cost price, which she has taken, that is around 155. So recommending a hold with a target of 155.
Okay, all right. Well, on that note, we need to take a quick break, but a lot more queries on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Well, you're still tuned into Your Stocks. We have with us Astha Jain and Ruchit Jain to answer all of your stock queries this afternoon. Let's get talking about another query now. We have Shweta Kapoor, who writes to us from Mumbai, who holds 30 shares of Adani Energy, which is bought at 800, wants to know the outlook on Adani stocks in light of the new Hindenburg allegations. Well, it's important to note that a lot of these stocks have seen a good intraday recovery, as has the market. So that gives you a sentiment indicator in terms of what the market is thinking about the news as well. But over to the expert, Astha, over to you on this one.
So right now we are recommending hold on this counter with the initial price target of around 1300. And Adani Energy Solutions I'm talking about. So talking about this counter, we really like the results this counter is posted, and this is one of the leading private sector transmission power transmission company with a strong market share of around 35% in the PCB, that is TCB, that is tariff based, power sector things. So I think this company with a strong market share, one of the leading private sector power transmission company, and the strong results is well poised to show strong results going ahead also. Recommending a hold. Initial price target can be set at around 1300 odd levels.
Okay, all right. Ruchit, just to give a sense in terms of what we saw in the markets today, because we did have that negative news come in, but the market seemed to have taken it in its stride and, sort of maybe shrugged it off to a certain extent as well. So based on what you've seen technically today, what would your reading be of the overall market?
So, Ekta, many times when there are such events or news flows over the weekend or overnight news flows, we do see markets or stocks opening with a gap up or gap down. But rather than that gap, what is important is the follow-up moves. So follow-ups or moves are very important whenever we see such gap down openings based on any negative news in stocks. And what you've seen in many of the Adani Group stocks today, after that initial reaction of first maybe half an hour or 1 hour, we have not seen any kind of follow-up selling. So I think that is somewhere a sign that markets would discount this very soon. Maybe it has discounted it already. and we won't see a major negative impact on the stock prices. So I think here downside seems to be very limited, and I don't think that the stocks would react much to this report which we have seen yesterday. So if I look at technically, apart from the news flows, then the stock has traded in a broad range of 1,000 to 1,300 over last few weeks. So I think that range would continue. So we expect some consolidation to continue in the stock. But yes, the downside seems to be temporary, and I don't think that this news would have major impact on the Adani stocks going ahead.
Okay. Okay, all right. Well, we now have Ruchit Jain, who writes to us from New Delhi, holds 30 shares of Zomato, which he's bought at 55. Wants to know whether to hold or sell or buy more. Well, that's the key question. He's already sitting on a very good profit when it comes to Zomato. But everybody seems to be, collectively quite bullish, especially in terms of the Blinkit business. But Astha, we've, countered this question many times. But to reiterate, what's your view?
View is positive. Price target can be set at around 290 odd levels because the company's resilient business model with the strong capabilities, they are really proving that also in their financial numbers. So, and gaining market share also. So we are positive on this counter. Recommending a hold as well as buying on dip strategy can also be applied to this counter. Initial price target can be set at around 290 odd levels.
Okay, all right. So that's on the fundamentals. But Ruchit, Zomato, looks like you would want to come in on this.
Yeah, so there's no doubt about the trend for the stock. I don't know any technical analyst who turn negative on the stock, because even when the markets have been were correcting, the stock was moving higher. So this clearly shows a strong buying interest in this counter. As of now, no signs of reversals, since still at current market price also you can observe good volumes along with the price up move. So I think hold on to your existing positions. This may rally high towards 290, 300 quite soon. And on the lower side, the short-term support base has now shifted to 230. So in case if we any kind of decline or profit booking coming in the stock in the near term towards that support level, then use this as an opportunity to add more positions.
Okay, all right. Well, we do have Shankar, who writes to us from New Delhi now. He holds 5 shares of Honeywell, which is bought at 2,600. He wants to know what to do, whether he should hold or sell this particular stock. Well, that would definitely be a tough decision. Look at the kind of gains we've seen for that particular counter. And, sometimes just waiting and patience does the trick. Astha, what's your take on Honeywell first?
So Honeywell, the results were average. They have shown just 3% of a growth in their bottom line, if I remember it correctly. So company looks good, but the results are not very strong. And in fact, the cost price is much, much lower. So what we can recommend is to book partial profit. Maybe she can or he can add back later on after seeing the good Q2 results. But right now, we are recommending to book partial profit in this counter, as they are a huge profit which the investor is getting right now.
Okay, all right. Well, technically, any call on this, Ruchit?
Longer term trend is still positive. And Ekta, what happens that whenever we see that the current market price are much higher than the buying price, then that margin of safety is quite good, that even if the stock goes through some sort of consolidation phase for a quarter or two, then I think the investor can hold on to that. So I think here also we might see some sort of consolidation for next one quarter, but the prices could see some dip towards maybe around 45,000, 46,000 kind of range. But I think looking at it by price, I don't think you would mind that in case if the stock corrects up to that level and then again rallies to make fresh new highs. So he's a long-term investor that I can say with his buying price. So I would recommend to continue to hold on. Just next 2 to 3 months should not expect much gains, but yes, the longer-term trend still remains intact.
Okay. All right. Well, that's on Honeywell, but we do have another query coming in on another outperforming stock. Prakash writes to us from Mumbai, holds 120 shares of RVNL, which he's bought at 417 odd rupees. So he's sitting on a good profit, wants to know what to do with this particular counter. Well, Ruchit, a lot of these PSU stocks, and Hormuz was pointing that out in a link earlier today, have seen profit booking from the top. But this particular stock is down only around, I think, 3 odd percent. Or 4 odd percent in the past month. So it's relatively unscathed. Technically, what would your call be on RVNL, Ruchit?
So in fact, that's a good sign that when the stocks or the markets have corrected, the relative correction in the stock has been less. So even if you look at the recent correction, technically the 40-day exponential moving average, which is a short-term moving average, that also has not been broken, which is a quite positive sign. And that average support is now placed around 510 to 515 range. So as of now, I would recommend to continue to hold on to long positions, keep a stop loss below 510 on your existing long positions. Maybe the stock would head again towards its previous swing highs of 650, and as the stock price move higher, then you can trail his stop loss on the higher side, and I think that should be a good method to until we get any kind of signs of reversal. Better to ride this trend.
Okay, all right, that's on RVNL. And Astha, what would your view be on this counter?
So I think that is major reaction of the news which recently came about the government announcement of 8 new projects because the results were not very strong in the case of RVNL. But I think this is a news-based rally which is more reflecting in the stock prices right now. But in the longer term, because the growth prospects are high on the basis of the projects which the company is getting, since they are into the execution of all types of railway projects, we are positive on the counter. So recommending a hold with a price target of 645 to 650 at the initial levels.
Okay, all right. Well, Astha as well as Ruchit, we're going to wrap up on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us all of those queries, getting all of those queries answered. We need to wrap up, but do remember to email us your questions. We'll address them with our experts. Stay tuned. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade this Monday.